speech is Why Some Ideas Survive. Mr. Mike Normandy, Why Some Ideas Survive.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. My name is Mike Normandy. I'd like to speak to you tonight about a topic that is dear to me, researching topics that have relevance to all of us here, and present it in a format that may be relevant to all of us as speakers. I belong to a church, and one of my functions as one of the teachers every other fourth week is we have a rotation basis where I teach, someone else will teach, and we tend to mix things up as far as keeping a freshness of who the speakers are, what lessons we're sharing, and what the topics are going to be. So over the course of every other week, I might have a topic I'm going to deliver, and I need to make sure that I've adequately researched the topic before I can share it with my students, sixth graders, boys and girls. And the point is that we all have to be prepared, but I've learned from being a Toastmaster that we have to also, number one, put down our notes, not to use our notes anymore, not to depend on notes. Number two, research our topic adequately, making sure that the study I've done has been thorough enough to deliver a good, effective lesson that might have a meaningful lesson to my students. And number three, always try to summarize the points, that I've summarized the important points I want to deliver to my students. By doing this, I feel like I've left a good impression on not just the students only, but also the other teachers are there to be role model to the other teachers, make sure that I'm continuing to be a good speaker and teacher to the students there. So as an example, just yesterday I had the class and I delivered a lesson had to do with the Old Testament studies. And to try to make that topic meaningful and interesting to sixth graders is sometimes kind of a challenge. So I researched the topic having to do with the book of Jeremiah to share with them some interesting stories that were relevant, that I could say this topic is relevant even though it was an old biblical character, to make the reference to present day use that it did have meaning in their life. And it had to do with the relationship to trust. And even though they were just sixth graders, try to leave them with a meaningful message that we've got to have trust in God, and leave them with a positive, impressional thought that in today's challenges, a lot of distractions for sixth graders, or just about all of us, that we've got to have faith and trust and carry that with them in today's present day world. So research the topic. We talked about some examples. I always ask my class to share some things maybe that they're going on in school, some challenges they're having maybe with other students or teachers or things like that, and kind of bring it all home, and then also summarize the meaning of the lesson. So just to re-share again, researching your topic is key. Another thing I've learned is that we've got to make sure that we bring it home as far as a summary or conclusion, making sure summarizing our points, and we're just sixth graders, making sure that I adequately go over these one or two important things to try to leave them an important, meaningful lesson, so I can say, yeah, we had a good lesson. Another thing we always do that's very interesting during the class is we always feed our students too. One way to get our students' attention is also feeding them. So we usually have like a snack or something like that. Yesterday we had like a full-blown breakfast, which was great. So you really have their attention for about a half an hour. But I enjoy teaching. I've learned a lot from Toastmasters. Again, number one, put away the notes. Don't use the notes. Have in your head in here what your outline is going to be. Number two, research their topic to make sure that you can adequately talk about a subject, bring to light some present-day meaningful examples, principles that people can learn from. I think that's key to always making sure that your audience learns from something that you want to leave a positive impression with them about. And number 3, always summarize your points. Maybe 2 or 3, not more than 5 or 6 points. Make sure that you always leave your audience with a certain amount of points they can take with them, not to overload them, but a certain amount of 1 or 2 or 3 key things that they can take away with you and say, that was a good speech. You know, Mike did a good job as far as some key points that he can leave us with and effectively be a good speaker. So with that, I'd like to leave you with just some accomplishments I feel like I left with my group yesterday. Always number 1, make sure that you research your topic, provide 2 or 3 good bullet points to your audience, whether it be very complex things or simple things, leave them with 2 or 3 key points, and also summarize your points at the end of the speech to make sure they have a good understanding. And also, finally, make sure they have any questions, ask for any questions if your audience has any questions, and try to resolve those questions as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Normandy. May we have the time on Mr. Normandy's speech, please?
6 minutes.
6 minutes. Very good. Before we continue on to the next aspect of our meeting,